Welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. And today I have two very special guests who still don't have name tags.
You were waiting for this, weren't you? Yo, let's go.
We now have name tags because Warren has provided them special one.
You were
2,
sitting
and
here
3.
waiting for that. I did not even notice
dang
that.
straight I was.
Why are we doing that?
That's good. I like that.
It's even a sticky note, so it's super special.
Yep. So now we, my special guests have their name tags on, so you'll know who's who. No,
Which you were one too. You're special
Yep.
number one, the special one.
Get it good, Nick. Get this view good.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. And we just need to, again, say thank you because it continues to grow. And the only reason that it continues to grow is you guys keep following direction and sharing it and then sending in more topics and things like that. And today's topic kind of comes from several people that had said, can you guys do something on Western hunting? Like going on your first hunt. And it just so happens that I know this sounds crazy that Easton was born in Montana, but he hasn't gotten to do any Western hunting. You mean other than he was with us?
You gypped me when we moved.
Yeah.
Moved when I was 12, and you have to be 12 out yonder to hunt, which is dumb.
Nebraska.
Yeah, that's
Kinda.
not Western
Right.
hunting. That's
Kind of.
That's Midwest.
So anyhow,
Western
so that's what
Nebraska's
we're going to
pretty
be
west.
doing today is we're
There
going to
ain't
be
nothing in
talking about
Nebraska.
going on a Western hunt and some of the things that you need, some of the things that you can get away with as far as good equipment or okay equipment, other things you cannot take any you can't cut any corners. Your special number 2 just fell off.
Yeah, it did.
So
We're gonna be pretty bear hunting specific.
and then where this is all coming from is Easton and Warren are going to Idaho. What's the name of the outfitter that you guys are going to be hunting with?
Wind River Outfitters.
Wind River Outfitters. I know the gentleman's name is John. I don't know John's last name.
John Boyer.
John Boyer. And you guys are going to be doing a spot and stalk bear hunt, which is quite a bit different than the baited bear hunts that you've been on.
Yep.
I don't know that you've ever done anything
we
spot
have.
and stalk. Did you?
We killed a bear at 2 yards.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Well, that was kind of a spot and stalk, but it was
We
a
also
spot.
called it in.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah, it really was.
Which he did clarify to bring some calls.
Oh, yeah?
So,
That'd be good.
Oh, really?
yeah.
That whole day was pretty wild.
Well, now that we've opened that can of worms, we better explain.
Yeah.
So this goes back, we'll get back to where these guys are going, but when we lived in Montana, we lived in 2 different places, and the second place that we lived was in the Whitefish or in the Flathead Valley,
Northwest
corner of Montana, and there was very few whitetail deer, very few elk left over there, very few moose, but there was a surplus of bears. There
And
was
mountain lions.
mainly
And
grizzly
mountain
bears.
lions. Yeah, mainly grizzly bears. We had the wrong kind of bears. So what we did was we took off hunting one day, and all 3 of us went. I want to say you must have been, 10, 11?
Yeah, 10 or 11.
And you were probably 15.
We only
weren't
lived there
you?
for a
Something
couple
like that?
years.
Yeah. 15 or 16.
Yeah, and so we hiked up into the national forest there, and it started pouring down raining, if you remember. I mean, raining like so hard we had to get back in the truck. And anyhow, we're sitting in the truck, and a grizzly bear comes walking down the mountain. That was the first thing that we saw.
Across the drainage.
Across the drainage. He wasn't like super close to us.
I thought it was a sow with cubs.
No, that one didn't have cubs. That was but we
Just
didn't
a-
get any
just
footage
a-
of it. No, just a grizzly,
Boar.
just a bear walking down the hill. And then we saw, even though there wasn't very many of them left, we saw a giant moose. I
Mhm.
mean, a big, he only had his fronts and just started to grow because this was spring. Anyhow, long story short is it was raining so hard, we just couldn't stay there. And so we decided to head back home. As we're driving home and we're driving through the national forest,
Which pretty much the whole way home was pretty much national
Through
forest.
national forest.
I mean, it was all that way.
well, our luck on our side, I guess, or the good Lord just blessing us, a chocolate black bear goes across the road. And we're like, game on. We got an hour left of daylight here. Let's try this. So we pull over right there. We take off after this bear and got in there. And I decided, well, I have no idea where this bear is going to be. It's thick.
Yeah.
I mean, like we can see maybe 20 yards if we're lucky. And so I can't remember who's running the camera. You were running the camera. Warner was running the
bear
camera.
spray.
Easton's carrying bear spray in case the wrong kind. And I start blowing a predator call to see if we can call a bear in. Don't do this at home. This was not, I mean, you shouldn't have your kids out there in grizzly country. We did have bear spray, and we had a bow, so
we were fine.
We could protect ourselves. Yeah. So anyhow, lo and behold, we are standing there not more than a minute or two when all of a sudden, I think it was you that saw it first.
We saw him come by first. And then he came around to us.
You saw him. We didn't see him.
Well, when I saw him once, and then the second time
he was coming right at us.
He was right next to us.
Right.
Yeah, he was like 20 or 30 yards away when we saw, or I guess I thought you guys saw him the first time too.
No, Dad and I didn't see him until he was like 15 already.
Yeah, I saw him when he was out there, and then he came around, and then he was like just to our right, maybe 10. It was under 15 pretty easily. Like he was like at least, I'd say at a max 10 yards. Because I'm sitting there saying right here, like as quietly as I can, and I'm looking at you guys looking over him.
Yeah,
and he's right there, and you guys are looking past him.
Yards.
I'm like, no, right here. Like,
and so
here.
When I saw him, he was in that little trail, and that was the only thing that we had. That was the only place really I had a chance to shoot. And so anyhow, long story short, I get a shot at this bear, and the bear wheels to leave, and I make a bad shot on a black bear, which was not good at that time. But we knew that the shot was not
good any time, just to clarify.
But it's not good. It's really not good in grizzly country.
Especially when it's getting dark.
And wolf country.
And mountain lion country.
And mountain lion country. And it was getting dark.
Country.
So yeah, I'm sure there's one or two of them up
there. But
what
we did, remember, we reviewed the footage because we did think we heard him go up a tree. I don't know if you remember that, but I thought I heard him go up the tree. And
I didn't recall that part.
Yeah, but I couldn't be certain. And so anyhow, we decided after we looked at the footage and said, well, you hit him for sure, we're backing out. And we backed out and came back the next morning.
We still have that video?
Yeah, I think so.
We need to look at that.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
But anyhow, so we came back the next morning, and the bear had only gone 100, 150 yards. And it took us a long time to find him because there was no blood until I found that one drop, which led me right to him.
Yep.
But anyhow, eventually we did find the bear. So that has been kind of Easton's experience as far as spotting and stalking bears. That would be all of it. Now, I did quite a bit of it when we lived in Great Falls. Matter of fact, I did a lot. And it was I would relate it to shed hunting. The amount of miles you put on for how many bears you see is not fun. Not a good, at least where I was bear hunting at. Now, where you guys are going, it sounds like I think there's a larger number of bears.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 2-bear unit.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had that. Yeah.
Well, he was talking to, or I told him that Warren was going to bring his rifle, or a rifle, because he didn't really have one for this situation.
I don't have a rifle at all. There's a 22.
22 250.
Why
do you always forget about that gun?
Because that tells you how much I use my guns.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Anyways, he's going to take his rifle in case I don't kill him with a bow or something, or we can't get one close enough. And the guy, and John goes, yeah, if Warren ends up shooting one real quick, we'll just send him out of the mountains. Me and you will keep going, and he'll go down to town and grab another tag and come back. I was like, oh, you can get 2 tags that easy as a non-resident, and evidently. So I'd say there's some bears.
That should be fun. It sounds like we got to know John at the Iowa Deer Classic, and I think you'll have a good time hunting with him. So
you're gonna lose me if there's as many sheds as they're talking about.
Yeah, he did warn us about sheds. He's like, you guys will probably find some sheds, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm bringing the wrong person to go on a bear hunt.
But let's talk about what you're going to need. So this goes for someone going on there. Because I would tell you there's 3 things. And I've said it before, there's 3 things that you cannot cut corners on. And the number
what are the 3?
The first one is boots.
Okay.
Boots are probably the number one thing that cause people to have crappy hunts, other than it's a crappy hunt. But I'm talking about you can have a really good hunt going on. You can be seeing lots of animals. And if the boots that you got on are causing blisters or they're not comfortable, you are not hunting in the next day or two. And so you do not want to cut corners when it comes to boots. So,
and obviously, I think it goes without saying we're looking at hiking boots for this.
hiking boots, yeah, no
Not
rubber boots.
rubber boots or anything. That would be just
Do you have some you'd recommend?
terrible.
And just so everybody knows, we're not working with anybody on boots, so anything we're giving you is 100% unbiased.
Well, I mean, I haven't worn the Crispies, but I've been with some guides that have been wearing them.
That's
and,
what John wears.
Right, and they speak
Crispies.
highly of them. And they look very similar to the boot that I am familiar with, and that would be a Kenetrek.
Yeah. I know from just out in Montana, I liked my Under Armour boots as far as the weight because they were really light, but the ankle support on them was terrible. So, like, if this stuff is as steep as it sounds like it's going to be, that's where I'm glad I have my Kenetreks, is because those do have a lot of ankle support. You know, you don't have to worry
For
about
sure.
when you're side hilling, rolling your ankles and stuff.
And that's it. I mean, and that is the predominant issue, is the side hilling or going straight uphill.
Yep.
You know, and so you want a good boot that's got good ankle support. You want a good boot that has a good pattern that you're going to be able to sink into the ground and not slipping and sliding everywhere. You do not want boots that are sliding around. You know, any of the boots that you get, I would suggest to someone, get them a month before you go and get them on and start wearing them. Start going to the gym with them on and walk up and down a treadmill if that's what you have. If you have a hill outside or something where you can actually do something similar, I would suggest doing it, because and now there are some little tricks that I've done before. That is, people that I know have been afraid of getting blisters will duct tape their feet, meaning just put duct tape like where you think that it could come, and it'll prevent you from getting so just slipping duct tape right just directly on your skin and put it on there. The other one is flipping one sock inside out. So you have one sock the correct way and one sock the other way. What that does is give the boot something to grip to. And so therefore you don't get any sliding in it. And I've done that. I've done the duct tape before too. There's been times when
This is if your boot's too big for you?
No, this is just to break it in, it sounds like.
break it in. Or if, in my case, there have been times when certain people have taken my boots and I ended up wearing someone else's boots. They were close in size, but they weren't exactly the same size. So
I know what this is. This is towards you.
Yeah.
You have the same size foot, too.
No, I don't. You guys wear 10s.
What do you wear?
11s, baby.
Well, this was years ago. I don't know who did it or where, but I know that the boots I was wearing were not mine, and because they were the wrong size.
Well, I don't have hiking boots, so we can't blame me for that one.
There you go. So boots would be number one. Number two is packs. Packs are like second only to boots, because you're going to have a pack on depending on the hunt. But on my Western hunts, I have a pack on almost as often as I have a coat on. Once you put that pack on, it stays on. It's carrying lunch. It's carrying extra everything. It's carrying, which is way less than what it used to be. You know, we didn't have all these meal replacement deals where you can eat a bar and it has all these nutrients in it. There's way better ways of carrying water now and things like that, or hydration systems. And
what do you think of a Camelback, though?
I'm not a big fan of Camelbacks, but
We've seen that twice, though, now, where they've
leaked.
Camelback type. Yeah, they get a hole in them, and then all of your stuff in your pack is soaked.
And that's not why I'm not a fan. I don't drink much water. I'm probably one of the world's worst people to be asking when it comes to water, because
if my PB&J gets wet, man, I'll be lit.
No, I wonder how much worse it would be if it got soaked in elk urine.
No, that would be really worse. Bad. It doesn't even have to get soaked in it. It just has to be near it enough to permeate the jelly.
Yeah, I feel like you have experience with that one.
Yeah, that's
elk permeated jelly.
Ew.
Yeah, that's nasty.
I'd love to show you guys a sandwich like that just one time, just so you could just see if you could choke it down for 4 days.
Why would I do that?
I can see the texture of it with like a yellow layer. Like
there was
crusted
nothing.
on
You couldn't see
jelly
anything. It was just eat it. But it was either that or go home. And at the time, I didn't want to go home, so I ate that elk urine and liked it.
Okay, so we'll get
I
back
think
to
I'd
the
have been trying to
packs.
shoot a squirrel or friggin' rabbit or something.
I'm with Warren on that.
All right. So
what do you mean by packs, though? I know why you want a good pack, but what are you looking for? You looking for a good frame pack? You looking for a
Both.
small pack? You want two different packs? What do you?
I've done both, and it just depends on how you're going to be hunting, where you're going to be at, whether can you go back to like a spike camp, can you go back there, and because frame packs are definitely a necessity. But for a long time,
pack out.
Yeah, if you got to pack something out. However, for a long time, I didn't use a frame pack. I had
Black's Creek.
Black's Creek, I think it was before it became Tenzing.
Yep.
And the Black's Creek pack did not have an internal frame or anything like that, but it was so comfortable that I could put a quarter of an elk in it and be okay. I mean, it would hold it, But the last thing I would tell a lot of people too, the things that I did by overpacking a pack would be detrimental to you in the long run.
Yeah,
I'm running into shoulder issues and knee issues and things like that. Try not to be taking, especially when you got 2 or 3 people, there's no reason to be I am king, I carry more weight than everybody. Just
a good pack makes a huge difference though too when
Absolutely.
you do have a decent amount of weight on your back as far as comfort.
For
huge
sure.
difference, because like if you can't get one that's snugged up to your back and stuff,
yeah,
like it'll freaking drag you back and you won't realize it until you wear a nice one.
Yep.
So there's a couple different ways of going about that. You can have I had one pack that unzipped, meaning the outside had a small like day pack I could keep. That other one was my meat packing pack, so I could take it to a certain point, and then maybe if you're riding horses or something like that, you leave that pack on there or your frame pack on the horse, but then you have a day pack. So you just want to understand what you're doing, and make sure that you don't put yourself in a situation where you don't have everything you need, because that is it. When people go out west, you have to understand that the whole rule that, like I guess when I hunt the Midwest or I hunt the South or East, if I just walk out, if I just pick a direction, if I was completely lost, I could find my way out by walking one direction. I'm going to hit a road, maybe not so much in the swamp and there's places in Texas that are big enough, I guess, and things like that. But typically I'm not too worried about dying before I get out. But out west, it's a fact. You may not be able to find your way out soon enough, and there are things that you have to worry. There are grizzly bears, there are wolves, there are other things out there. So making sure you got things to build a fire, whether you need it or not, and all that stuff is preparation that you're hoping you don't ever have to have.
Yep.
So I carry a small first aid kit, that I made my own. I didn't buy one, but they make them now where they're inexpensive and they make them light. That was my whole thing. I built mine from the fire department. I had gauze bandages and a couple other ace bandages and things like that. Yep. That I would place in there. But you definitely want to make sure that you have some way of starting a fire and a backup system. Meaning if you have a lighter, you want something other than the lighter. A little candle can be really good because it'll stay lit, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So,
if you're down by the swamps, you got to make sure you got a toothbrush.
Yeah, so you don't have to deal with all the grumpy alligators.
Yeah, in case you're into an alligator.
He's referring to the water boy.
Yeah, that's going to be to me, it's like a dad joke. That was horrible.
No, that was on another
Adam
level.
Sandler's joke. It's
stellar. That is worse than a dad joke. No, how he says it is different. It wasn't a joke.
When I have Crest and a toothbrush and the alligator doesn't attack me and it attacks you, we'll see who's laughing.
Adam Sandler delivered it well. You did not deliver it well.
I'm just relaying what he said.
Anyways.
Okay, so one way is, like I said, a 2-type pack. One piece zips off or you have separate pack.
Yep.
The other one is just you have a pack that will carry a quarter, and that is your day pack. That's what and that's honestly how I rolled for many, many years. Because then I would have 3 game bags in there and have a knife for doing and I have a sharpener because I'm horrible at sharpening knives, so it would always take more. I would have the first aid pack. I'd have water. I'd have some food. I don't carry all my food. I carry enough for a day or 24 hours or whatever. And then like if there's extra clothing needed and things like that. So
did he say how we're getting these bears out? Like quartering them or gutting them or?
He didn't. No.
Huh.
I'm sure you're quartering them.
Yeah, I've just never quartered a bear.
But he has horses, and so I would think that
either way will either be close to a horse or close to an ATV, or a UTV.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, we're going to do something. I would imagine you cape it and then.
Yep, and then quarter it and just carry quarters to the horse. So I would think that half a mile would probably be a long pack, but it could be steep.
Straight up and down.
Straight up and down. You won't be able to take a horse to wherever. If it's the country I've seen when it comes to Idaho, it's steep.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about where it falls dead, not about where you shoot it.
We got horses. We'll hook up a rope to those suckers.
That's fair.
You're like a Reggie. That'll pull it right out.
Yeah.
I would hope that they don't have Reggies up there.
So there's multiple ways to go, and then, like I said, you can go with an internal frame or not frame pack. I mean, in my opinion, something like you're doing, I wouldn't worry so much about an internal frame because you're not going that far. You could get away without it. So, excuse me. And then the third thing that I would say, is optics. You're going to live in your optics. When you go out west, you just don't realize it's nowhere comparable to how much you spend looking through binoculars to when you hunt the west, Midwest, or back east.
Yeah.
You just don't look through binoculars or a spotting scope like you do when you're on a western hunt.
Mm-hmm.
You're in them all the time. And so you want something that is affordable for sure, but you really want something that is good on your eyes. Quality, because quality is going to keep you from wearing your eyes out. And you want something that's somewhat lightweight, or that you're willing to pack.
A lot of these guys are like, would you suggest carrying a spotting scope?
It depends on the hunt. I would tell you that I not necessarily.
This one I wouldn't think so.
Well, it depended. Like if this was your 5th bear hunt, and you're like, I want a Pope and Young bear, you better take a spotting scope so you can see. In your case, I think you guys are like, if it's a legal bear and if we get a chance of going after one, then we're going after it.
Yep.
Pope and Young bear is going to be really hard to judge, though. Even with a spotting scope.
Yeah, but when you're looking at a 250, 300-pound bear, you're probably getting close.
Yeah.
But my point is, you guys aren't going to shoot a cub or anything like that, but at the same time, you're just looking to make sure it's a huntable bear.
Yep.
So you could not, and that's what someone has to truly understand before you go watching all these other podcasts or watching TV shows, and they're like, oh, I'm going on a western hunt, and I got to have this spotting scope. And what do you need a spotting scope? If you're willing to shoot any bull, you didn't need typically you can see that it's a bull through a pair of binoculars, but if you're wanting to kill a Pope and Young, or, then you probably want to have a spotting scope, so things like that you have to ask yourself. So those are the 3 that I would say are an absolute must.
What are you doing as far as a sling goes for your bow? Or do you just carry it, throw it over your shoulder?
No,
strap it on your pack?
I
hate strapping.
I know, but the one that I've always liked is the Primos one, particularly because they make one that goes over the cams and it covers the string. So if you're putting your bow on a horse, it's not rubbing on anything. And then a lot of the packs now allow you to anchor your bow to the pack.
Yep.
So again, when you run a strap over it, you're not strapping over just the bare string where something could wear, because you'd be surprised when you start dealing with horses, especially, or UTVs, and something vibrating. You want to be really careful. The other thing, ask your outfitter.
Don't put your string on something like on a ATV or a horse that's going to wear on it, because you could probably wear through that string before the trip is over.
Absolutely, or even before you get a shot.
Yeah.
So the other question would be to ask an outfitter, will I be able to take my case? Maybe you want to take 2 cases. Maybe you want to take a hard case and a soft case. Hard case would be if you're on an ATV type deal. You could put that hard case in and go wherever. I don't think you're going to put a hard case on a horse, even if you have.
I think you're going to put a regular case on a horse.
You might, but I've done some horseback and what I used was I put my bow on my pack and put my pack on. And then that's how I carried it. And that keeps it off the horse, and then I didn't have to worry about it. The only way I have to worry about it is the horse bucks me off, then
try to flip around so you
try to make sure you land on your face. Absolutely. So, and a lot more of my experience actually came from bikes.
Yeah.
But I can refer a bike very similar to a horse.
Yeah.
I feel like
a lot less
bike
room
would be harder to pack than a horse.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at that, and but at the same time, like, even just walking in, like, there's times in Iowa where I'm walking into a stand that's might be a mile walk.
Right.
Me and you have done them together. And when it's that long of a walk, it's like, okay, might as well just strap your bow to your backpack.
No need to carry it.
But I can't get myself to do it because you never know when you're going to have one of these crazy times where you walk up and there's a deer at 40 yards and you have a chance to sneak up on it. And I have the same paranoia of when I'm hiking in the mountains that something's going to hit the fan and you ain't going to be able to get your bow off there quick enough.
I don't think
Or
so.
having an easy sling.
I think it'll be a little different when you're on a horse. You know, like no matter what, it's going to take you a little bit of time
On
to
a
get
horse,
off the horse.
on a horse, I'm putting it on my backpack. I'm talking about when I'm hiking up and down and stuff.
I don't use a sling, though.
Just carry it.
Yeah, I always carry mine, like, with my stabilizer up because my stabilizer, like, rests right on my forearm, yeah.
Yep.
And I carried mine a lot, too. I mean, you're going to run into both, but I think, like, the part you're talking about, don't be afraid to strap your bow on to go the 300 yards up the hill. Like you glass a bear and you see him from a distance away and then you bail off of a mountain. You know you're not running into one as you go down that hill. Yeah. And then and have your hands helping you. You know.
I'm also wondering, should I we run a back bar and stuff. We got a lot of extra weight. Take the back bar off?
I tell people in the Midwest, you put as many stabilizers on there as you want. You go out west and we start doing a lot of miles. Yeah, you might want to think about your bow weight because it will make a difference when you're carrying it all day long and your freaking arm will feel it, especially if you carry it like me.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would tell you too that you want to be cautious of is I don't know, from the pictures that he showed us, I feel like a lot of this looks kind of rocky. And one thing I learned when we were in Arizona with my release was if you're putting and it's steep like that, like you put your hand down to help you climb or whatever, and then my release wasn't working. And then what I realized is the magnetic part, there was little rocks that were magnetic and had gotten in my release. So here I was hiking around and my release was useless. So you got to, you got to be sure that either don't put them on, like you watch where you're putting your
release.
Yeah, if it's, I don't know what kind of rock it was, I can't remember, but there was all these little rocks on there, and I had to use a toothpick or something I used a toothpick to get me through, and then I used an air compressor to blow them out.
Huh? What are the chances of that?
Pretty good, I think. I think if you were in Arizona,
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if there was some kind of volcanic stuff that's where it had come from, but it things like that can happen. So you want to have spare everything.
Yeah.
You know, you want a spare release to take with you. You want extra arrows. Most guys, I would tell you, if you're going, you're taking a second bow, you may leave it in the truck, but it's, or the other one that I've often carried is a portable press so that I could actually fix something other than a cut string. I mean, unless you have a spare string with you, but thinking of stuff like that to make sure that granted it's only a week long, but it's a lot to make sure that you're thinking of to be there and be successful in that week.
Yep.
So, but spare clothes, you'll want additional clothes, but you don't want to take so many clothes that you can't dress like you do for a Midwest whitetail hunt either.
Yeah.
Which I think that the Huntworth clothing that we just got is, there's enough layers there that a guy can pick.
Oh, I've got plenty that I can actually connect what I want to connect with and stuff.
Right.
Put what I want to wear. Yeah.
So
what, so this is kind of a dual question. On the bears that you were stalking, were you really paying attention to their vision or more just to their nose? Because I know they can't see great.
Right. And so mainly from where I was hunting them, it was mainly nose. There was only certain drainage I would only go up it with a certain wind, because otherwise there was pointless. And it played to be true. I mean, the only time I saw bears is when I had them with the wind right. The couple times when I first started hunting them, and then I was like, well, I'll go all the way up and then I'll come back down and the wind will be in my face. I never saw a bear. I think I probably already alerted them that I was coming, know.
But like when you see a bear and you're going to go on a stalk for this bear, are you really, like a deer or antelope or anything else, we're really concerned about what is their line of sight, how well can they see, what kind of terrain do we have between me and that bear or me and that deer to be able to block them. With a bear, are you really worrying that much about what their vision is until you get probably, I don't know, 60, 70 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you can get away with a lot more than compared to an elk, a deer, a turkey. When it comes to a bear, you still got to pay attention. I mean, movement, all animals, they're going to pick up on movement. If they're not seeing the movement, then you're probably okay. Meaning bears feeding, your move up. What I found was you got to be really careful with noise, because that'll tip them off, and then they turn, and then they're looking, and they're like, I don't know what I heard, but I heard something. Like you step on a pine cone, and it's something that at 35, 40 yards, he's like, what was that?
Yeah.
And then they turn around, and then, they don't see what they're looking for. That might cause them to just keep going, amble on. Another good little trick, though, is stalk into a certain position and let them walk into you. Yeah. If you can get that situation where they're walking a trail or something like that, and you can get out in front of them and let them walk into you.
Especially if there's berries or something like that.
Absolutely. But I made a huge mistake on a really big bear in that scenario where I was walking a trail. Wind was right. Everything was right. And here comes this bear down the trail. I see him. He actually stops and starts rubbing his back on like a big fat man rubbing, he can't get his arms back there to scratch himself. So he's scratching. And I was like, when he gets done, he's going to keep coming down this trail. He was walking toward me, and I stepped off the trail about 10 yards, and I'm like, it's really thick. I got him. This is like a no-brainer. I'm standing there. I can see him still scratching. He's about 60 yards away. And then I see him get down on all fours and start walking. And I was like, all right, I got him. Well, I made one more move. I backed up a little bit more and knelt down onto my knees. And when I knelt down, I couldn't see him coming anymore. So and then the opening that I had was about maybe 10 feet wide. And so when he got to that opening, that's when I had to draw, because that was the only place that I knew he was there.
And he's at 10 yards?
He's about 15 yards, not 20.
Okay.
And right as I see his head pop into there, I try to come to full draw.
Gotcha.
He immediately sees something and doesn't like it, and up the freaking hill. So they do see, he caught something there. My mistake, the major mistake there, was kneeling down. Had I stayed standing up, I don't think that bear, I would have been able to see his back, and I would have known when I could draw, because I could see him coming, and I could have drawn 15, 20 seconds before he got there. And I just was thinking I need to hide more. I need to hide more because I'm so close. Yeah. And I hid so much, I took myself right out of the situation.
Huh.
How big was that bear?
That bear was probably a 350-pound chocolate bear. I mean, he was big.
Yeah, that's a pretty big bear.
Yeah, he was really big. The only thing that I remember telling Waylon was, I don't think you could put his head in a 5-gallon bucket. He had a big old noggin on him.
That'd have been pretty epic to shoot him at 12 yards on the ground like that.
Especially all the times we had traveled up and down that drainage and not killed a bear, and finally to have not just gotten one, but got a good one.
Yeah.
And an off color.
What is your opinion, not opinion really, but preference, hunting over bait or spotting and stalking? You haven't done bears with the dogs, have you?
Nope, never with dogs. But
how do they hunt them mostly back east? With dogs or bait?
No, most
bait,
of them,
I think.
Or they're just deer, like in a deer stand, and one comes by. There's a lot of.
They do drives for bears back east too, don't they?
I don't know of anyone.
Some of them use dogs, I think.
They could be driving deer and a bear comes through.
I think they do some bear drives.
Huh? I haven't been a part of that.
I think somebody was telling us about that at the Great American Outdoor Show. Maybe not though.
I don't know, but so there's the 50-plus-year-old David that's going to answer that question, and there's the 25-year-old David that's going to answer that question. The 25-year-old David would tell you spotting and stalking is like, that's it, man. This is the shit. You're like, it's you and him one-on-one on the ground. He can eat you. You're hoping you're going to eat him.
Yeah.
And so there was like, even though my success ratio was horrible because I wasn't seeing bears. That it wasn't like I was blowing stalks left and right. I might walk 5 days, and in 5 days I might see one bear.
Yeah.
Then I found Canada where they baited bears, and when you get to see average of 5-10 bears a night come in, and they're all 20 yards away, and they're not paying that much attention to you, there's still some things. Some of the bigger bears, we started learning that they didn't come in and do what they do like the other ones did.
Yeah.
You know, they had figured things out. And so the 50-year-old me would say, I'm going to Canada and sit on a bait. The 25-year-old me would say, no, you got it. It's going to be everything you want in a hunt. It's going to be that much fun. And like the things you see because of the time of year, you're going to see a lot of elk because they're down low, you know, probably in that area. I found sheds when I was bear hunting. I mean, there was a lot more that you had to do. When you go hunt a baited situation, you basically go hunt the bait. If you're the one baiting them, all the preparation and work is what's done prior to. So being able to go and sit, it's easier, you know, without a doubt. Where when it comes to spotting and stalking, physically, you got to be, you know, prepared. Mentally, you got to be prepared, you know, that it's like, because when you do see one, chances of him seeing him at 200 or 300 yards and it's an easy walk around the corner, and ain't going to be the case. You're going to, you know, and then the biggest, I would say, onX will play like a huge factor in your hunt because you're able now to locate something and kind of know exactly where he is by being able to look at it on your map.
And you could see the topographic side
Absolutely.
of it too, see what the steepness is.
Where before, you know, once you looked across the mountain, okay, there's a big boulder there and there's a rock there and a rock there. When I get to where I can see that, I should be able to see the bear, or I should be able to see, you know, that was how you had to do it. You didn't have any other choice. Like being able to use a rangefinder and say, okay, that's 1,000 yards across there.
I very well might like select an area on onX or on my onX and download it.
Yeah,
so it's offline
for sure.
Because I don't know what the service is going to be like. But then I'm also not going to be sitting there. My phone dies or something. Not that I give a crap about being on my phone out there, but if I have my phone to be able to, like a GPS, that'd be really nice.
Yep.
So I might do that.
Definitely want offline maps.
Yeah.
For sure. So what else? What are some other questions? I feel like we've covered some pretty good topics, but
I'm just interested on the difference of the hunt. I have an idea of how to do it. I'm just interested in the little things. Like we see a bear over there and what the screw ups are going to be, or what are the learning lessons going to be in our first couple of stalks. Because there ain't no way we're getting it done once.
There's one big one, and you'll find it out because you don't deal with it as much. It plays a role in the Midwest. It plays a role in the South and the West. In the East, but it plays a huge role in the West, and that is thermals and wind. Wind rules on big game hunts out west. And what'll happen is you got a perfect wind on the ridge you're on, but when you get over to the ridge that you're going to, it's completely different.
Yep.
And understanding when the sun comes out, it's going to change the wind. When the clouds cover, it's going to change the wind. Understanding things that won't change the wind, such as if you're down close to a creek where the air is cool, a lot of times it'll pull that wind all the time. You'll be able to get away with things. So, and then the biggest one, I would tell someone that's going, like in the situation that you and Warren are going on, don't guide the guide.
Yeah, trust him.
You got to trust these guys. They've been doing it a long time, and I would say that coming from both sides of it. I've been the guide, and then I've also been guided, and it's hard sometimes to not jump in and want to take over, but man, they know their area way better. They know what's going on. Trust them. Trust what they're telling you when they say you can get away with it. You can go do this or go do that or whatever.
Yeah, I'm interested too in the fact of he said that we'll be able to stock them obviously, but the game changer may be just having that call with you to be able to call them in, having like a fawn in distress, or he had said a cub in distress. I don't know how the heck to make a cub in distress. Might have to YouTube that one, but
I'll kick
like
you in the gut.
Yeah, but that would be really cool. No, we have one. Okay, he's 100 yards away. We're gonna try to call him in now because we got the right wind and everything, the right setup. Yeah, because I'm definitely in the favor, I think, of maybe stalking them to the point of where they're gonna have to come to me, as opposed to stalking them to get the shot.
Yeah,
I think that's where I naturally am thinking is where I'm. You got blade nose rolling.
Yeah, I think I might have to about be done. It just started. I have no idea why.
Interesting. Well, hopefully that's what a bear's going to look like here pretty soon.
blood coming out of his nose. I don't have a napkin to give you or anything like that. So
here you go. Special number 3.
Yeah.
It's not dripping out.
It's on video. I wasn't even picking my nose.
All right.
It started bleeding.
Nasty. Anyways.
But other than that, I mean, I don't know if we want to go into calibers of rifles and bow setups. You're going to take the same bow setup that you hunt whitetails with, you know, and that's what we try and tell people the same thing when it comes to an elk. You know, you don't need to change everything. They're just a little bit bigger animal. In a situation of a bear, it's not that much bigger of an animal. I mean, it might be 250, 300 pounds. You might find a 500 pounder. But I will tell you this, that bears in general are kind of wimps. If you can make a good shot on a bear, they're going down quick.
Yeah.
And
you'll hear them, hopefully.
Hopefully you'll hear a death moan.
I will say, though, I am changing, I'm changing it just to see how much I like it. But this one specifically, whether I was testing it or not, I would have put, if I didn't have the option, I would have put a 5-pin on my bow. But I do have the option now. That Trophy Ridge has got me hooked up.
You got a 3-pin.
But I'm trying to 3-pin. And I 100% would not have gone in this hunt specific, and maybe this is just stupid. I wouldn't have gone into this with a 1-pin because I'm in such a not knowing stage that I'm not going to shoot over 40 in the first place. So as long as I have a 40-yard pin sitting there, I'm good.
Right.
I would not have put myself in the situation where I don't know. I can't. When I'm whitetail hunting, I can control the situation. Is about as much as you can for having a wild animal. So I can understand shooting, or I like shooting a 1-pin because it's a controlled environment, much more so than this where I'm not going to know. So that's one thing that I know that I changed for sure.
So you're not going to a 700 grain arrow either, right?
Absolutely not.
Right.
I'll shoot my same.
These things are butterballs.
I'm shooting my exact same broadheads and same arrows as I would for a whitetail. I guess the only one I switch my broadheads for is a turkey, literally.
What broadhead are you going to be shooting then?
3-blade chisel tip, Rage. Yep. That's
and
I don't know
gold
what
tip
it is.
arrow.
Yeah, I'm shooting the black label quantums. I always mix up the quantum and label, but black label quantums. Yeah.
There you go.
They're like 410 grains, something like that.
Gotcha.
So it's not a super heavy arrow. They're zipping. That's for sure. They're pretty quick, but.
Yeah, I saw the pin gap on your 3-pin sight, and there ain't much of a gap.
Well,
there.
I'm gonna have to see if I can replace those pins with smaller diameters because they're so freaking close that I can't decipher hardly. They're pretty much all one pin still.
Yeah, those are 19,000s.
Except for the bottom. Yeah, the bottom one is 10,000s, which I like a lot.
Me too.
I can't believe that. It sounds like such a tiny difference when you get to those 10,000s. It's clear as day. You can look at those pins and you're like, yeah, that one's a lot bigger than that one, and it's only what
9,000s.
You know, something like that. Yeah.
So it'd be in half. It's roughly double the size. Right?
Yeah.
Because one would be 0.19
really
or 0.10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
0.010. So, but anyhow, I guess I was just sitting here trying to think of other things that someone listening that's looking at going out west for the first time might want to know. Water solutions, you want to make sure that you can go with some type of filtration system and not pack water. And back when I used to do it a lot, I don't even remember the name of it, but I have a squeeze bottle that has a filter on it. You put whatever water out of a creek or stream and close that, and then I would carry an empty Pepsi bottle and I would squeeze the water into that. And then
store it.
That's how I would keep that bottle full, the filter bottle and the Pepsi bottle, and that's what I would hunt around with. And then, but you didn't have to, when I was going in, I could carry them empty. Didn't have to take anything, but you want to make sure you either know the area well or you talk to your guide somewhere or something that you're going to be able to get water. Knives, just make sure you got sharp knives and something to sharpen them, especially when it comes to quartering an animal and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that like those. I believe it's Outdoor Edge is the one that I know of that makes the replaceable blades. I'm not a fan.
I use it solely for the fact of being able to replace the blades. I don't like them at all.
Right.
Granted, I haven't used them in a situation like that, but like skinning deer and stuff, I just like to have something that I don't have to go back in and grab my electric sharpener and sharpen. I just switch it for convenience sake. But
so what would you tell somebody that wants to go on a Western hunt and they're from the Midwest or back east and they don't want to go with an outfitter and they don't have anybody to go with them that's from the West or been out there and spent time in the West? Because I know, like, our Iowa kids at camp, like, when you tell them, you need to understand which way north is and all that stuff, like, it just doesn't resonate with them, like, they're like, I'm okay, like, there's nothing's that big of a deal. I'm not going to get lost. Or if I am going to get lost, like you said, they just walk straight.
Depends
where
if
your Montana
name is Kane
kids,
Brown or not.
Those Montana kids understand. Like, they understand, like, you can die a lot easier than you think. And so my question there, guys, I'm just thinking of somebody from the Midwest that's never spent any time out west, going out there on their own, and I'd be concerned for them, like, not trying to poke at them, but I'd be honestly concerned about them.
Well, I think the number one thing is learn how to read your read onX. Learn how to read a compass. Make sure that you have both. Learn. You need to learn that you got a whole lot of homework to do prior to going.
That's what I'm saying is where do they go to do that, or what do they do? Or would you tell them that you shouldn't go embark on this on your own to start with? At least take a buddy with you, or what sources do they look at? Because, like, it could be as simple as the weather. People think the weather in the Midwest is bipolar. No. Go sit on a mountain where it's 70 in the morning, and then by the afternoon it's 20 with snowing. 8 inches of snow.
Right. Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, I think that I wouldn't tell someone not to do it because, but don't bite off more than you can chew. I would think on your first endeavor on something like that, I'd be camping at the truck and hiking out every day, seeing where I want to go, learning that,
not going 6 miles in.
And not especially if you don't have someone or something to guide you. Meaning, if you have someone you can lean on, that says, okay, this is the place where you want to go to. I've camped here. This is there, and gives you that kind of stuff. If you're just going on your own, I would recommend seriously at staying somewhere near the truck to start for your first trip. And because you can walk 5 or 6 miles out in a day and get back.
Right.
It's not unheard of. It could dependent on the terrain.
So where would you tell them to start getting information to do this? YouTube or?
No, I think I would start with the states, looking at the states and talking to them about where are some areas that would be the first place, and picking out where I wanted to go, where I was trying to go. And then I believe that I would start looking at people that have done it, and whether that, I hate to say YouTube, but then again, YouTube there's good information, but there's also some really bad information. And I wish I knew how to tell someone to decipher when someone's steering them way down the wrong path. Podcasts like this, where we're just trying to help people get better at what they're doing.
So maybe start with some viable sources that first, if you can.
Yeah.
So a buddy that's gone out west, or message us, or something, an uncle, anybody that you can first to at least validate it, or something that that they've spent a significant amount of time doing those things.
Yeah, because the undertaking is not like anything like you've done in the Midwest or back, When I say Midwest to the east, I mean the undertaking of going on your first deer hunt is nowhere in comparison to a backcountry Western hunt for whatever species you're thinking of hunting. And so then, like I said, the one I tell people that, and I know it sounds crazy because you're not even in the mountains, but a good way to kind of get acclimated to the West, to see what it's like, get a feeling for it, like how far away gas stations are and stuff, is go on an antelope hunt. Go on something that is down, not in the mountains, and you can kind of get your feet wet that way. Oftentimes you meet someone, at the local bar or restaurants or whatever. I can't tell you how many landowners and things like that we've met with visiting with people,
When you mentioned gas stations, I think on here that sounds stupid, but I think when you get out there and you experience that, it's very clear what you're talking about, and that means that the distance between a gas station is not here. I remember when we moved to Iowa, it was weird to me that you don't go 20 miles without at least going through a small town that probably has a gas station.
You don't have to plan on where to get gas and that
No,
stuff.
you're good.
Just
Like,
know that,
and-
I'll make it.
Pretty much at any point in Iowa, within a 20-mile radius, there's a gas station.
If
in
not
in the
a lot of
West,
them.
that is not the case. It could be 100 miles. When
Yeah,
you
well-
go across 212, it's a, 150 or 200 miles almost?
Yeah. Well, but now there's more. Now there are a couple gas stations along there where there didn't used to be.
But they aren't
Used to
all
be.
open during
Correct.
normal hours either, and like you can't. There's no way to pay them. They don't
All
take
the
the card
signs you
and
see
everything.
on the movies of next gas 200 miles.
Yeah.
well, the
legit
one that I
thing.
would remember is from Great Falls to Helena was 89 miles, and there was not a gas station anywhere between the two on the interstate.
Yeah.
I take that back. Ulm, like right there close.
Ulm is right next to Great Falls, though.
Right. But I mean, so you had about a 70-mile stretch there where there's no gas station.
Yeah, but the east side of Montana is way more than
Oh
that.
yeah, it's worse. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so
pay attention to your gas stations.
Which I think you'd be able to gather that pretty quick on
That's
the drive out
that's
there.
that's our
because-
road trip tip for you.
Yeah.
When you're going on road trips, watch for gas stations out west.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, really, as soon as you get west of Iowa, that's when I think it changes a lot.
Yeah,
even
when you hit
Nebraska,
Dakotas,
Kansas.
yeah, it does.
You still
South
carry
Dakota.
like a small fold-up map with you?
I probably would not. I mean, I feel
He's the worst person to ask, though.
You could drop him like upside down, backwards, spun 50,000 times in a circle, and he'll
Blindfolded.
still get you out.
Yeah, he's got some weird AI shit in him that he can freaking just
Warren
knows
is
where to
on this
go.
AI stuff right now. He's
Right.
very scared. So if anybody else is very scared of AI, message Warren. He'll talk to you all about it all day. So
No, I'm just saying we need to prepare. We need a lot more than big broadheads for this.
so. But I mean,
the Wappa Choppa ain't gonna do it.
the one thing that's nice. I mean, like I said, a map is easy to get to or whatever if you want to keep your phone for. But now you can carry a solar charger. And they last a long time. So, but it's more weight where you can throw a map in your pocket
Not have to worry about
and
it.
it's nothing, and you can get topographical maps. And
Well,
I
I
mean, I
honestly
feel like
don't
we're talking
even
about
know.
stuff that people don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Maybe. I just feel like if we're gonna go out there and we're not gonna have any service, and you got a general idea of where stuff is at, or he's gonna know where stuff is at. Besides, if I could download or like get the offline map for that area or that section, I wouldn't even carry it. I don't think, because it's not gonna do me any good.
You better have a backup.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now.
What's my phone gonna do me?
I'm telling you from personal experience when I got stuck on the mountain.
Yeah, no, but that's assuming that you can call or do something.
No, that we had no service.
They had a GPS.
Yeah, the GPS
Went dead.
That
and
would be
then-
the only thing that would do you any good is having a GPS with a little SOS button.
Well,
That's
they,
My point is, what's your phone doing you any good, whether you can use it or not?
That's what I'm saying. You have your offline maps, but you need a backup to your phone. So you should have a GPS, and then you might even need. I would almost say that yes, you should be taking a map. I think you should be taking with a map with you. Actually, I think we probably should, just in case as well. Because
Yeah, if I had
was
the
the guy-
GPS though, I'm sitting here thinking, you're assuming that I'll be able to use my phone at some point.
No.
I'm solely saying that if I don't have the map on my phone, I don't have any service. I'm not. What's the point? Unless I want to take a picture of a groundhog.
of a map.
No, of the phone, ding dong. I'm gonna take a map. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a piece of paper. I was saying that I would leave my phone. This is a whole separate. You're not comprehending.
No, it's what
just
I'm telling
confused
you.
Why you're
Yeah,
not
no,
comprehending?
I am comprehending. That's what I'm telling you. Is you want as many possible things that have GPS on it as you can. So you want the offline on there. You'll want we should. This would be a great time to learn the Bushnell GPSs.
the backtrack.
backtrack.
I'll
Backtrack,
throw that
yeah.
on my backpack.
But
right
the other one that everyone should carry when you're hunting out west. I don't care where you're going, what you're hunting, or who you're going with. Make sure you have a compass
Yeah.
because it's gonna work, and don't fight your compass. I can't tell you how many times, and I have been in that situation where it's snowing sideways, and there's when you hear people talk about those horror stories about that they're lost and they built a fire and they felt better. I've been in that situation. I've seen that happen, and your life really changes when you can't figure out where you're at. And I've looked at a compass and said, there's no freaking way there's no way that's right. And I went against my gut, meaning I did not allow myself to override it, and I walked the way that it said, and I hit the freaking road. And then once you find a road, life, at least in my case, it was like, okay, it may be 4 or 5 miles to the truck, but I'm on the road now. I know where I'm at. And then understanding that in the worst case scenario, sit down, build a fire, and wait it out.
Yep.
And don't panic. The moment that you panic, it's all over. You're going to, and just hold on, because if you got a fire going, life's going to be all right.
Might be tough, but.
Yep.
Well, and that's what happened. And that's what you don't realize either, is it's so big out there. When we were in that situation with, on the mountains during elk season that time, one person in our party wanted to keep walking. When the GPS died, they're like, we need to go this way. And I'm like, no. And none of us knew which way. And I was like, no, we're not going anywhere. If we can't get this thing to start, get the batteries and get it to start back up, it's going to really suck, but we're going to sit here overnight. And if we'd have kept going the way that we were going,
wrong way,
we weren't off that far, right? But we'd ended up in another basin that would have taken us 5 miles away from where we needed to be. We'd have been nowhere near where we were supposed to be. Yeah. And thank God the batteries from the wireless mic worked, and was able to turn it on, and we were like, oh shit, we were off.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, all of that is the oh crap factor. The cool thing is the experience of going out west. I would tell everyone they need to do it. The things you'll see, the sights, the smells, it's just so different, and it's so vast, and it's something, it makes you feel very small, but it makes you feel very small in a good way. It's like, this is cool. There's a lot of country still out here without a building on it, without a apartment complex. There's no one shooting at anyone. There's no sirens. There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that, and being able to wake up in the morning and hear nothing, is pretty dang cool.
Heck yeah.
So it's worth it. And I think I haven't hunted per se the area you guys are going to, but I've hunted some areas very similar to. And I think you guys are going to have a heck of a hunt. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We'll have to do a podcast about the
results
after you go.
The adventures.
Anything else? I'm just trying to think that we're going to get a question from someone immediately. Says, why didn't you guys talk about this?
That's great. We can do it on the next one.
Okay.
I know I'm going to have more.
All right. Well,
and I'm sure that I'll be posting some stories or something of just some of the stuff. I'm excited for this hunt. This is going to be way different. Like I wanted to do, I didn't have necessarily a drive to go sit over bait or something for a bear again, but doing it like this where it's going to be a hard challenge and got to find it, got to get close to it, got to get it on camera, and camping out in the mountains and stuff, that's like,
yeah,
I'm pumped. This genuinely will be my first, unless you want to consider Wyoming for antelope, this will be my first legit Western hunt. Yeah, and I wouldn't consider antelope in there.
It's Western. It's just
Western.
It's not a backpack type.
It just is not a hard hunt, depending on how you do it. But yeah, so I'm excited. This should be fun.
All right. Well, cool. Well, guys, gals, we're going to close up the Raised Hunting Podcast. And thank you guys once again. Please continue to send in your comments, send in your topic ideas. We'll take them. We'll keep listing them out and see where we come out. Don't be upset if you send it in and we don't get to it for a month or two. We try to do this stuff in a timely manner. So, but thank you guys for the reviews. Appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for all the ones that have already written in with topics that we've used. We've loved hearing back from you guys, saying, hey, I heard my name on the podcast. So it's cool. We really do appreciate you. So this is the Raised Hunting Podcast signing off. Thank you guys.